Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, noobs and professionals alike, thank you for stopping by for another episode. Today we're going to be talking about the hottest 5G stocks. Yes, despite what's going on in the market, despite what's going on in the world, technology still grows, and the 5G hasn't even come out to fruition just yet, but the infrastructure is there, and a few of the phones and everything are already starting to hit the market, so we're starting to get a little bit of a taste as to what 5G is going to offer us. But in today's episode, plain and simple, we are going to be covering three different stocks, and the stocks that I'm going to be covering are going to be covering three different sectors of the 5G market that I personally think are. The first one is going to be telecommunications and infrastructure. The second one is just going to be plain and simple phone companies. You got Samsung, you got Apple, big names out there. And then the last one is going to be the chip makers. Who is actually supplying the phones with the chips to run the 5G signal? We're going to get into all that. I'm going to give you one stock for each one, so please stick with me, and hopefully you guys get something from this. So let's go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight into this one. The first sector is going to be phones. And the stock that I'm going with is Apple. Pretty simple. I'm pretty sure you guys probably already guessed that one. Apple is probably one of the biggest phone companies that you guys can actually invest into right now. Their balance sheet's not too shabby. It's not one of the best balance sheets out there, but Apple is indeed one of the biggest companies in the US. So this company has a very strong economic moat. It's got its own ecosystem when it comes to all of its applications, all of its phones, and they haven't even started to introduce their 5G, which is why Apple is actually really exciting. Now, as you can see here in Robinhood, in a 5-year span, you can see that the stock really hasn't gone down too much in this economic situation, but that's okay because even though personally for me, I am invested into Apple, but right now at this price, it's a little bit rich for my blood. But if you were to invest into it for the long term, 5-10 years out, it's not a bad play. However, again, do your research. Please do your own homework. Don't just take my advice. Go out, do your own thing. But hopping over to the 10K, you can kind of see a little bit into their world. You can see how much cash and cash equivalents they have with $48.8 billion and a total asset of $338.5 billion. So they do have a lot in assets. And this company, once the 5G hits for Apple, that's going to be their next big, huge wave of where their stock is going to go on another tear. Where it ends up, we don't know, but we know that their 5G phone line and their entire 5G ecosystem is going to be huge potential here. So incredibly exciting stock. Their debt, yes, they do have quite a bit of debt. Their total liabilities are sitting at $248 billion, with, you know, quite a bit of long-term debt, but over the long term, I know that them paying something like this off is very simple. If they were to just stop their buybacks, then they would instantly, probably within 1 year, be able to pay off all of their debt easily. So Apple is a very safe, very safe company. However, do your research before doing anything. Obviously, just don't research, just don't invest without doing it. So with that, that's going to end up being our phone sector. 5G, they have not even started it, which is the most exciting thing. Now, a lot of these companies really haven't even started, so that is exciting, which is why we right now can really start getting into the 5G market before it really starts to explode, before Wall Street and the analysts really understand the full potential of the 5G market and how faster speeds is going to allow for better gaming, for better purchasing. It's just going to allow for more more cash flow. I mean, it's just going to be a better overall experience for everybody. So with that being said, let's head into stock number 2 and sector number 2. All right. Stock number 2 and sector number 2 is going to be telecommunications and infrastructure. And the stock we went with on this one is actually pretty exciting. This one is AT&T, and the reason it's exciting is because I actually did a comparison between what I thought were the 3 biggest players in this sector. Okay, so this went up against T-Mobile, Verizon, and out of those 2 competitors, AT&T came out on top when it came to just overall balance sheet is actually what it came down to. Now, AT&T is no joke in this game, okay? This is the second largest market cap out of the 3 that we went with. Only beaten by Verizon by $3 billion, which is nothing compared to these companies. I mean, T-Mobile is a baby company compared to AT&T and Verizon. However, the balance sheet on AT&T is phenomenal. So if we look at Robinhood and we go to the 5-year here, you can see that AT&T right now is actually taking a pretty good hit when it comes to the market right now. And the most exciting thing right now is this thing pays a dividend, a beautiful dividend actually. So I think the dividend is something, and we'll see it in the financials, is something along the lines of like $2 and I think 3 cents. But 6.8% yield. Phenomenal stock. If we actually get into the financials, what we can see here is we scroll down and we can see that they actually give you the book value per share at the time that they recorded this, which is a beautiful thing. Their balance sheet is something to behold, because if you haven't read too many 10K reports, I highly recommend going to AT&T's. Theirs are pretty simple to look through, and they give you some pretty good numbers. They go over their long-term debt, okay, is $151 billion, but their total debt's $163.1 billion. Now, if we take a look at their actual total assets, look at that, $551.6 billion. Okay, they are playing with some heavy firepower. Their debt to income ratio is far better than Verizon and T-Mobile's. Their cash is far better than both of theirs, and it shows there the dividends $2.05. So this is a very, very, very good company. This is a company that plays in the telecommunications and the infrastructure. So their satellites, their strength, their 5G network, that's what they're going to be selling. They have a very, very good, what we call a spectrum. So that means that they have the chance to have a better 5G user interface experience, because they're going to probably have a little bit of a cleaner 5G network. It's going to be faster. It's probably just going to be a little bit more well built out. So we're going to see how the future holds out. We're going to see where 5G plays, you know, whether T-Mobile comes out on top, Verizon or AT&T. But as far as the balance sheet and as far as everything else goes, AT&T is the one that stuck out the most and came out with one of the better balance sheets. I do recommend going and taking a look at the other 2 for yourself and compare. Maybe I'm wrong compared to you guys. I don't know. But I know for me, I'm comfortable in saying that if I actually had to choose one of the 3, AT&T would be my very, very steadfast go-to for this one. Another good thing is Verizon. Their balance sheet didn't really have the increasing operating revenues and income while paying down some debt, okay? AT&T does do that. They have increasing operating revenues and income, and at the same time, if you look at their balance sheets, they are paying down their debt over the years. So this is a very strong company to go with. I highly recommend that you guys take a look at AT&T. As a long game, very good. As a dividend game, very good. As a 5G game, very good. So that's going to wrap it up for stock number 2 and also sector number 2 for the 5G network. So let's bring this up to the third one. And this one's actually going to be pretty sweet and simple, guys. Alright, so stock number 3 and sector number 3 is going to be the chip play for the 5G network. And the stock I went with is plain and simple, Skyworks Solutions. Listen, there's really only two main players in this. There's a lot of different, probably small players and things like that, but when we're talking about the big dogs in the 5G network, we're talking about Skyworks Solutions and we're talking about Qualcomm. Okay, so when you're comparing the two companies, you're going to want to see which ones are supplying to who, and Skyworks is no joke. Okay, they have some big time suppliers and they're basically supplying to almost the same people that Qualcomm are, so they have a lot of the same players. They got, you know, the Apples and the big names. Okay, so when it comes down to these two companies, the balance sheets are going to come out on top, and Skyworks just absolutely destroys almost pretty much anyone you put them up against. I mean, come on now. I looked at Qualcomm's records. I looked at Qualcomm's 10K. I look at that. I highly suggest you guys go over there and take a look at it for yourself. Their balance sheet's not good. In my personal opinion, it's actually pretty bad. They are heavy debt loaded, and their assets to liability ratio is pretty abysmal, to be perfectly honest with you. And then just put their 10K up and then put Skyworks Solutions 10K up and just marvel at how well ran this company is when it comes to Skyworks Solutions. I'm telling you, this company is going to kill it in the 5G game, ladies and gentlemen. They are going to be such strong players. It's going to be beautiful. They're going to come out of this recession unscathed. They're not needing to have any of this help from the feds. Nothing like that, okay? This company stands strong on its own. Their Skywork right now, $87.09. That's actually still pretty low compared to their highs of around 120. So even if you were to pick it up around here for the long term, baby, are you going to make some money? And the good thing is they actually pay dividends. So it's actually a dividend game play as well. So I'm keeping this one short. Skyworks Solutions is just a no-brainer. So 5G, I break it up into three sectors. I covered three different stocks, one stock for each sector, and I hope you guys did take something away from this one. If at anything, I hope you guys were at least entertained. But if anything, drop a like, comment, follow, all that good stuff to help me out, support me, and you know I love it, and you know I love you guys. So if you guys have anything else, hit me up. Otherwise, have a good one.